Good morning, everyone. The long-awaited trial data on a potential treatment for Alzheimer's disease has now been published, and it shows potential in the fight against the disease. Mandy Gaither has more on the study and why there are still some safety concerns.
For those affected by Alzheimer's disease, it's been a roller coaster ride when it comes to potential treatments. Weeks after another therapy disappoints in clinical trials, new information about another treatment that its drug makers say shows some potential.
That's maybe one of the first medication we have that's such a positive result so far. But we have to be cautious about it.
Dr. Bebek Tusi is lead investigator of Cleveland Clinic's side of the study of lecanemab. Phase 3 results on the medication published in the New England Journal of Medicine suggest that at 18 months, lecanemab was associated with more clearance of amyloid, a protein associated with Alzheimer's, and less cognitive decline.
This medication, if it's approved, it's going to be for very earliest stage of Alzheimer's disease.
But there are still safety concerns. About 6.9% of those who took lecanemab in the trial discontinued use due to complications, including reactions to the infusions and abnormalities on their MRIs, such as brain swelling and brain bleeding. Overall, there were serious adverse events in 14% of the lecanemab group and more than 11% of the group that got a placebo. The researchers say longer trials are needed to determine the safety and efficacy of this potential treatment.
Of course, we're trying to find a better medication, and that can only achieve it if more people show interest in participating in clinical trials.
Again, that was Mandy Gaither reporting. The Alzheimer's Association said in a statement that it welcomes and is further encouraged by the full phase 3 data. All right, 'tis the season for holiday stress. A new poll from the American Psychiatric Association shows many Americans are preparing to be stressed out this holiday season. Jared Hill has more on that.
The holidays are filled with cheer, but they also come with a lot of stress. A new poll from the American Psychiatric Association finds nearly a third of adults expect to feel stressed this holiday season. That's up from last year.
Stress can come with occasions that we really look forward to, as well as things that we're dreading. Having holidays that are going to come back in full swing that people are looking forward to is also leading them to be more stressed.
The top stressors: affording gifts and meals and finding and securing those gifts. It's something New York mom Jessica Lokatz knows all about.
Financially, it's a little tougher. Gifts are a lot more expensive.
There's some strategies Americans can use to reduce the financial burden by sharing the cost of the holidays. Have gifting groups, or have gifting pools, or have potluck meals.
APA President Dr. Rebecca Brendel adds being prepared is essential to reduce stress.
To look at which are the things that we feel obligated to do out of our relationships and our familial commitments, and which are the things that we're really, really looking forward to. The rest of them, they might be optional, and we could even say no.
COVID-19 is not as big a worry this holiday season. The poll shows that adults are less concerned about spreading or contracting the virus at holiday gatherings. Rachel Garcia is embracing the season.
That actually we get to get out and be around people and enjoy all the shopping and everything.
And while the poll shows many Americans are looking forward to seeing loved ones this year, Dr. Brendel says it's important to stay home if you're sick so you don't make the holidays more stressful for someone else. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The poll also shows parents are more likely to say they anticipate experiencing more stress during this holiday season. So the holiday shopping season is seeing a solid start despite inflation and other economic concerns. New data out this week shows Americans are spending in record numbers, while another report shows they're also not feeling great about the economy. Jen Sullivan has 3 tips to help you avoid holiday debt while still getting into the holiday spirit.
The holiday shopping season is in full swing, and while Americans are spending in record numbers, they're also not feeling great about the economy.
Many consumers are telling us that this is a really important time of year for them.
A new report from Adobe Analytics found online Black Friday sales in the U.S. set a new record, with sales reaching $9.12 billion. That's despite inflation, higher interest rates, and recession fears. National Retail Federation says despite all that, Americans are still eager to shop.
62% said that spending around the holidays is critical for them. It is a priority so that they can make these celebrations meaningful for themselves or their families.
Meanwhile, new data released Tuesday shows U.S. consumer confidence fell in November to a 4-month low, indicating Americans are feeling gloomy about the economy. And financial experts warn if you don't rein in your finances, you'll end up with too much holiday debt.
It's so easy to go overboard at the end of the year.
Latina money expert Janice Torres has these 3 tips. 1. If you haven't already, create a sinking fund and stick to that amount earmarked for holiday spending. 2. Make a shopping list, trim it down, and decide who will get gifts from you this year.
So you're not just kind of shopping ad hoc and then realizing maybe I overspent, maybe I didn't need to buy all of these gifts.
And 3. Use cash savings apps that allow you to make money while you're spending money.
These are apps that you can download that basically will give you points or cash back whenever you make a purchase online.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And here's a bonus cost-saving tip. Make holiday parties collaborative. Ask your guests to bring a dish or to offer to co-host with other people to split the cost of hosting an event. That's very good advice. All right, a little later, a big honor for the best bread. Good morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Scientists are sounding the alarm about the Great Barrier Reef and recommending it be placed on a list of World Heritage Sites in danger. Tina Kraus reports on that.
It's one of the natural wonders of the world. Stretching for 1,400 miles, the Great Barrier Reef is home to countless plants and animals. Now some scientists want it added to the list of endangered World Heritage Sites.
I think it is welcome in many ways because it's what we all know. Climate change is the #1 threat to the reef.
A new United Nations-backed report details how pollution combined with warmer waters and devastating storms are ravaging the coral. Experts say even though efforts to protect the reef have ramped up recently, without ambitious climate action, it remains at serious risk.
Unless we can get emissions under control, we don't have much hope for the reef ecosystem.
But Australian officials say saving the coral needs a global solution.
There is no need to single out the Great Barrier Reef in Australia because there is no government taking the risks to coral reefs more seriously than the Australian government.
The world's largest coral reef system attracts millions of people to Australia every year, propping up its multi-billion-dollar tourism industry. Some climate scientists worry labeling the reef as endangered could cause it to lose its luster.
Pushing our governments to make changes is much more feasible and a possibility if people feel like there's something to fight for.
And experts say the reef is resilient with the power to rebuild and regenerate if just given a chance. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
United Nations officials say they'll listen to feedback from Australian leaders before making any official recommendation to add the Great Barrier Reef to the endangered list. All right, a legendary French bread has been granted a special status by the United Nations, and for bakers in France, it is the best thing since, well, sliced bread. Ian Lee has that story from London.
It's enough to put a smile on a French baker's face. The humble baguette has something to brag about. It's risen to UNESCO heritage status. Yes, I'm so happy, he says. The iconic baguette has been bred into French society and culture since first coming out of the oven roughly 200 years ago. The French Bakers' Confederation raised a toast at the official announcement on Wednesday. The baguette follows us through life, he says. When a baby is teething, parents give him the tip of the baguette to chew on. When the child grows up, he can go buy one on his own. Despite its new upper crust status, the baguette is simply made with flour, water, salt, and yeast. And it's not just tossing ingredients together and popping it in the oven. By strict rules, a baguette can't be a baguette unless it's 30 inches long and 8 ounces. It's the bread that goes well with everything, as sandwiches with sauce. It's extraordinary, this baker says. France rolls out about 16 million baguettes a day. But life's been pretty crummy for French bakeries, with more than 400 closing over the last 50 years. She says, we need bakers. We need bakers who love their job and who have this know-how. UNESCO's declaration was much needed because, let's face it, it's the yeast they could do. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Legend has it the first baguette was first ordered by Napoleon back in the early 1800s because it would be easier for his soldiers to carry it on the march. All right, coming up, finding family. For one woman, it means everything. Her story is ahead on Mid-Morning. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is an incredible story of determination that led to a life-changing discovery. Deanna Schroeds, who was adopted as a baby, was building a family in Florida while at the same time trying to learn about her own origins. After years of searching, Schroeds met her biological mother, who died before revealing the identity of her biological father. David Begnaud spoke with Schroeds about getting answers and answering a stranger's prayers in the process.
The life story of Deanna Schroeds was a story without a beginning. At least she didn't know the beginning, but she was determined to find out.
I have to know where I started, and I have to know who else out there is a part of me. That desire never left.
Schroeds was adopted as an infant. She was 27 years old when she found her biological mom.
She was not open to meeting me, and then I went and met her personally. I just showed up, knocked on the door.
So you meet her and you guys end up having a relationship for how many years?
20 years until she died.
You had one question for your mother, which you kept asking.
Yeah.
And it was?
Who is my father?
And her answer was?
I'm gonna go to the grave with the name. Had no idea she was sick. Had no idea that there was cancer brewing. Weeks later, she was diagnosed, and a couple months later, she was dead.
She took it to the grave.
She took it right to the grave. Just give me a call.
Now, the story almost ended right there. But her mom did tell her two important things about her dad. He was Greek and from Richmond, Virginia. So she set out, creating a private Facebook group, Finding Mr. Greek. She gathered a group of friends and volunteers who would help search for him. And she signed up for multiple DNA registries, hoping that science would lead her to her father.
How many years do they try to find Mr. Greek?
Well, it's been 10 years. I got maybe 5 matches on my father's side. So I'm like, this is terrible. Like, we don't have anything to work with here on the DNA side.
Just open yourself up for just a new level of healing and restoration in your life.
She is an ordained minister, so she prayed a lot.
I told my husband, I told my best friend Laura, I said, listen guys, you might think I'm crazy, but I was in prayer. God spoke this to me. Your father's name is Gus.
Well, sure enough, in May of this year, after nearly a lifetime of wondering, her prayers were answered. There was a match to a cousin she never knew she had.
I reached out to this cousin and I said, we've just matched on 23andMe. And he said, I think you're my Uncle Gus's daughter. And I said, I think that too.
His name is Gus. Gus Nicholas, 92 years old. He lived in Richmond all his life. A bachelor who was never married, he was a retired ballroom dance instructor.
I prepared myself to find a grave, and I now found a person. And it was just absolutely mind-blowing. Couldn't believe that I had found a person.
Schroeds called him the very next day.
My heart was beating out of my chest. I was like, what is this going to be like? And is he going to accept me? Is he going to want to see me? When I found him, he was so excited to be found. He said, I woke up this morning and I was alone. Now this afternoon, I have a daughter, I have a son-in-law, I have 3 grandchildren, I have great-grandchildren. He said, I'm not alone in the world anymore. And I said, no, you're not. You're not.
Within a week, she was at Gus's bedside.
Well, I'm here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here too.
As it turns out, just 4 months before they met, Gus had fallen at home. He was found lying on the floor. He could no longer care for himself. So the state placed him in a nursing home. And that's where they first met.
Gus would say to me, please don't let me die in here. Don't let me die in here. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure.
Yes, they are father and daughter, but still strangers, which makes what happened next absolutely remarkable. Deanna said to Gus, "Would you like to come and live with me?" To which Gus responded, "How soon can we go?" And so 56 years after she was adopted, and 75 short days after she first called him, Schroeds and her husband, Pastor Larry Schroeds, took Nicholas out of that nursing home and drove him to their home right outside Tampa, Florida.
Okay, you got the orange juice? Yep.
They now provide for him full time. She cooks his meals, Greek he always prefers, and she feeds them to him. Her guest room is now his bedroom. There are the mementos that he asked her to bring from the Richmond home, his trophies, dancing shoes, favorite hat, and a picture from the good old days.
I love you so much.
92 years of memories are packed into this 80-square-foot room. It is just big enough for his hospital bed, but intimate enough for the conversations they have.
I knew your mother for 60-some years. I knew her.
Hi, Gus.
I even got a chance to say hello.
How does it feel to have your daughter find you?
It felt good.
Yeah?
I didn't find my daughter. My daughter found me.
She found you.
Yeah.
To the man who gave her life, she is prepared to give back to him until the end of his. She's asked just one thing of him. Will you tell me all about you?
It is the most worthwhile thing I've ever done in my life. It's the hardest thing. It's the most worthwhile thing. It's the most incredible miracle I've ever had the privilege to live out. Yeah, I'm living the dream.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
David Begno, CBS News.
Wonderful story. Coming up, a gift of family and gratitude. That story is ahead on Mid-Morning. All right, we're back. You're going to love this story. A McDonald's worker in Caddo Valley, Arkansas, is feeling the holiday cheer a little earlier this year, all thanks to one of her customers. Ian Russell brings us the story.
There are some sounds just synonymous with the drive-thru.
We go ahead and pull to the first window.
And at this Caddo Valley McDonald's, no sound is as recognizable as this.
You do the same. I appreciate you. Come back and see us.
Aretha Nelson has been here for the better part of 2 decades, always greeting customers with a smile.
I keep them going in the drive-thru. I do.
Rain or shine, always committed to her customers.
If I made anybody day or touch anybody, I knew that I did my job.
But this time, they're committed to her. She was told it was a video shoot for McDonald's marketing. Then it turned out to be the best Christmas gift she could have ever gotten.
The real reason you are meeting with your work family here today.
Aretha may have her work family in Caddo Valley, but her actual family lives hundreds of miles away in Virginia. She wore a mask with pictures of her grandkids on it during the pandemic, the closest she could be to them.
I want to say I'm on 4 years now. It's been a minute.
So an anonymous customer, only identified as one of Aretha's regulars, sent in a card for the holidays. Not just to wish her well, but to make sure those 4 years apart don't continue to grow.
To spread love during the pandemic by sharing the smiles. Those grandbabies when you couldn't see no smile.
That's why she did this. And, you know, I was blown away. And I think that Aretha was blown away for sure.
Aretha may never know who gave her the money, but that's okay. Because while she's used to her customers needing her, this time, all she needed was them.
But I do have my ticket, so it is real. I'm going to get to see them grandbabies soon.
In Caddo Valley, Ian Russell, THV 11 News.
Well, CBS is getting into the holiday spirit this season with the release of 3 original Christmas movies. First up this Sunday is Fit for Christmas, starring The Talk's Amanda Kloots and Christmas staple actor Paul Green. We have your behind-the-scenes preview. Check it out.
Wow, literally Christmas in a cup. The main ingredients for a great holiday movie is obviously a good love story. You need a great holiday town, a good struggle, and you need some comedy relief. Fit for Christmas checks all those off the list and more. We're a Christmas oasis.
This is a story of Audrey. She is from this really sweet town called Mistletoe, and her business fails in New York and she has to come home. And then I come into town to develop call it the beloved center. So she's fighting against me to keep it, and I want to develop it.
Not in this town. Not at Christmas.
Spoiler. We end up liking each other at some point. Then she has a boyfriend, so it's awkward.
It is. It's really hard.
I mean,
I don't know who to choose.
No, come on.
I've never watched a Christmas movie about fitness, and it's something that's so important, and we all want to do during the holidays. So I thought, I'm going to create a movie about fitness.
So what are we looking at here? Some weights, some plates. These are terrible, by the way.
I think viewers will love Fit for Christmas because Amanda Klutz is magnetic and Paul oozes with charm. Watching the two of them is going to be really fun for people.
Paul's the greatest. He's so gung-ho for anything, and he was so fun.
Totally one of my favorite experiences was working with you. Like really, really talented. No one's going to believe that this is your first crack at this.
Even if the rec center stays empty, at least there's hope. It's just a feel-good movie.
You know, maybe there's something to these Christmas movies. There's more than just one or two reasons why people love them.
All right, so don't miss Fit for Christmas this Sunday, December 4th at 7:30 right here on WCBI. And we'll be right back to wrap things up. Stay with us. All right, stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you back here tomorrow.